Excellent. Beginning the first analytical chapter of The Secret Business Behind TikTok. TikTok is not merely a platform for entertainment, but an intricate system of behavioral engineering and financial optimization disguised as creativity. Its true business model is not built upon video sharing, but upon the strategic extraction, refinement, and monetization of human attention. Every gesture, swipe, and hesitation becomes data. And data becomes currency. The foundation of this empire is data monetization, a practice that transforms invisible patterns of behavior into measurable assets. TikTok observes not only what the user watches, but how they watch. The duration of a gaze, the rhythm of scrolling, the type of sound that sustains focus, the frequency of return. These micro-interactions create an emotional fingerprint that allows the system to predict what will hold attention next. From a technical perspective, this predictive loop operates like a recursive mirror. Each input from the user refines the algorithm, and each refinement generates stronger emotional feedback. The result is a form of adaptive entertainment that evolves faster than human awareness can detect. Why does this matter? Because TikTok has inverted the traditional advertising model. Instead of users chasing content, content chases users in real time. This continuous adaptation ensures that engagement never decays. Attention, once fragmented, becomes captured and quantified. In classical economics, scarcity drives value. In attention economics, captivity does. The monetization mechanism behind TikTok can be divided into three intertwined systems: advertising infrastructure, data brokerage, and algorithmic amplification. Advertising infrastructure converts impressions into transactions. Data brokerage transforms behavioral traces into market intelligence. Algorithmic amplification multiplies exposure through emotional resonance. Together, they form a triad that converts time into capital with surgical precision. Unlike older networks that rely on explicit targeting, TikTok operates through implicit emotional mapping. It does not need to ask who the user is, it deduces it. This deduction is probabilistic and ever-changing, a model of mood rather than identity. When the system detects boredom, it injects novelty. When it senses excitement, it prolongs stimulation. Thus, TikTok functions not as a media company, but as a real-time psychological engine. The consequence of this architecture is profound. TikTok does not sell videos, it sells behavioral predictability. Brands purchase not exposure, but certainty. The guarantee that their message will intersect with the precise moment when the user's attention is most receptive. Economically, this model represents a transition from attention extraction to attention orchestration. The platform is not merely collecting data, it is composing an emotional symphony in which each user becomes both the instrument and the audience. The feedback loop ensures that no two experiences are identical, yet all are optimized for maximum retention. This structure also explains why TikTok has become an unparalleled laboratory for algorithmic capitalism. Every second of user engagement feeds a feedback circuit that redefines marketing, culture, and even perception itself. The metric of success is not user satisfaction, but user dependency, the continuous return to the platform as a reflexive behavior. From a socio-technical point of view, TikTok embodies the convergence of entertainment and surveillance. The line between creativity and consumption dissolves as both become functions of data generation. The platform learns from creators as much as it learns from viewers, merging both into a single behavioral ecosystem. In this ecosystem, data is the raw material, algorithms are the factories, and attention is the product. The economics of the platform depend on maintaining emotional volatility. Moments of joy, envy, outrage, and curiosity strategically sequenced to prevent cognitive rest. This emotional turbulence sustains the loop and enhances the value of each second spent online. But the hidden brilliance of TikTok lies not only in its algorithmic capacity, but in its cultural adaptability. The platform localizes trends at unprecedented speed. It learns the humor, rhythm, and desires of different demographics with microscopic precision, then reproduces them in an endless cycle of cultural simulation. As a result, TikTok's influence extends beyond entertainment. It shapes collective imagination, social values, and even self-perception. The user becomes both consumer and content, a hybrid identity optimized for visibility. Every performance, no matter how spontaneous it seems, feeds the invisible engine of monetization. Therefore, the fun interface hides a sophisticated infrastructure of psychological calibration. The laughter, creativity, and virality that define its image are not accidental. They are engineered outputs of attention economics. TikTok's true genius is in transforming pleasure into data and data into wealth. Ultimately, understanding the secret business behind TikTok is not about uncovering hidden conspiracies, but recognizing the logic of digital capitalism in its purest form. It is an economy where emotion is measurable, behavior is predictable, and human attention, the last remaining natural resource of the information age, becomes the most profitable commodity ever created. The economic intelligence behind TikTok functions as a behavioral marketplace, an environment where the currency is not money but predictive certainty. Every user becomes a generator of value, not through conscious participation, but through the passive act of interaction. This is what defines the evolution from the traditional economy of production to the contemporary economy of attention. In conventional markets, companies sell products. In TikTok's ecosystem, they sell probabilities. The more accurately a system can predict how individuals will behave, the more valuable it becomes. This explains why TikTok invests heavily in machine learning infrastructure rather than conventional advertising. The platform's real asset is its predictive model of human emotion. At the center of this model lies the For You page, a digital stage that personalizes the infinite scroll. Each video serves as an experiment, measuring not only what captures attention, but also what triggers it. The algorithm tests, learns, and refines millions of times per second. Each test produces new information about how emotion can be engineered, quantified, and sold. This process can be understood as a form of emotional capitalism. In earlier digital systems, users provided data through voluntary input, likes, shares, searches. In TikTok, data extraction is implicit. It reads hesitation, micro-reactions, and even silence as signals. The user need not say anything. Their body language through the screen already speaks volumes. Why does this matter? Because this silent language becomes a commercial code. Advertisers are not merely targeting demographics, but emotional states. The precision of these predictions allows for marketing that adapts moment by moment. If the system detects fatigue, it introduces stimulating content. If it detects joy, it prolongs satisfaction. In doing so, TikTok transforms engagement into an adaptive commercial dialogue. The philosophical implication of this mechanism is striking. The platform does not only respond to behavior, it sculpts it. The feedback loop becomes a system of conditioning, reminiscent of psychological reinforcement experiments, but executed at planetary scale. Billions of people participate in this invisible behavioral lab, shaping and being shaped simultaneously. This architecture gives rise to a new kind of economic agent, the algorithmic consumer. This entity is not entirely human nor entirely artificial. It exists within the feedback loop, defined by its capacity to respond predictably. The more data it generates, the more efficiently the algorithm adapts to it, and the more valuable it becomes to the system. The advertising ecosystem that sustains TikTok operates on this fluid exchange between emotion and precision. Brands no longer compete for visibility alone. They compete for resonance. Visibility without engagement is valueless. The true goal is to integrate a message so seamlessly into the user's emotional rhythm that it ceases to feel like advertising at all. From a structural point of view, this requires the transformation of content into interface. Every video becomes both entertainment and advertisement, both message and measurement. The platform's design ensures that users cannot easily distinguish between personal expression and commercial persuasion. The boundary dissolves, and marketing becomes indistinguishable from culture itself. This fusion of commercial intent and creative expression explains TikTok's unique dominance. Unlike traditional media, which depends on explicit ad slots, TikTok's monetization is native. It lives within the flow of culture. Trends, sounds, and challenges act as viral vectors for economic value, allowing brands to infiltrate social behavior rather than interrupt it. In this way, TikTok represents a new mode of economic infiltration. It doesn't merely influence what people buy, but how they think, move, and express desire. The platform evolves by learning from the very creativity it encourages. Each viral moment feeds the algorithmic organism that orchestrates the next. From a sociological perspective, this creates a condition of algorithmic hegemony. What becomes popular is not necessarily what is most creative, but what is most predictable within the data model. The algorithm privileges patterns that can be monetized and replicates them endlessly. As a result, cultural diversity is compressed into statistical efficiency. Why does this create impact? Because attention becomes standardized. The unpredictable nature of human curiosity, once the engine of culture, is now formatted for computational comprehension. The system rewards behaviors that sustain retention, not reflection. This shift subtly reshapes human creativity into a form compatible with monetization. This phenomenon reveals the deeper logic of digital power. Control without coercion. The user feels free, yet their choices are continuously optimized for the benefit of the platform. The experience of agency persists, but the outcome is predetermined by invisible layers of algorithmic influence. TikTok, therefore, functions as both a marketplace and a psychological architecture. It commodifies not only time and data, but attention as emotion. The longer the emotional engagement persists, the greater the economic yield. Each second of scrolling is a microtransaction in the grand economy of perception. The hidden business model of TikTok is not simply advertising efficiency. It is behavioral predictability as a service. The more predictable the user, the more stable the revenue. Thus, the system continuously tunes its environment to ensure that unpredictability is minimized, even when creativity appears spontaneous. Understanding this reveals the philosophical paradox of the digital age. Freedom and manipulation coexist seamlessly. TikTok does not restrict choice, it multiplies it until direction is lost. In that multiplicity, the platform quietly guides attention toward its most profitable paths. The genius of TikTok's economic design is that it transforms unpredictability into precision, emotion into data, and data into control. What seems like play is, in truth, a finely tuned mechanism of monetized engagement, the most sophisticated business model ever built on the foundations of joy and distraction. TikTok represents the culmination of a long evolution in the relationship between media, technology, and psychology. Its architecture is not simply designed to entertain. It is designed to optimize human behavior for economic efficiency. The secret of its business lies in how it integrates three disciplines: behavioral science, algorithmic computation, and cultural engineering. From the perspective of behavioral science, TikTok perfects the principle of variable reward. The user never knows which video will deliver satisfaction, surprise, or laughter. This uncertainty sustains engagement by stimulating the dopamine-driven circuits of anticipation. The reward schedule, similar to that used in slot machines, creates a self-reinforcing cycle of curiosity and gratification. But unlike traditional gambling, TikTok personalizes the odds. The algorithm learns which emotional tones resonate most with each user and calibrates their feed accordingly. Each scroll becomes a new psychological experiment, a test of how quickly pleasure can be re-triggered. The brilliance of this design lies in its invisibility. The user feels entertained, not manipulated. This leads to the second discipline, algorithmic computation. The system's learning model does not simply sort videos, it models attention flow. By analyzing billions of interactions, TikTok can infer collective emotional patterns, the digital pulse of humanity. This allows it to predict, almost in real time, which type of content will dominate the cultural landscape. Such computational foresight gives TikTok an extraordinary commercial advantage. While traditional media measure success after the fact, TikTok foresees virality before it occurs. This predictive capacity allows advertisers, influencers, and brands to align themselves with emerging trends before the public even recognizes them. The result is an economy of anticipatory marketing, selling not what people want now, but what they are about to want. This anticipatory capacity also explains why TikTok's cultural influence feels spontaneous but is deeply systemic. The algorithm subtly promotes content that aligns with profitable emotional patterns: humor, aspiration, outrage, seduction, and nostalgia. Each of these emotions sustains engagement while remaining easily monetizable. The system thus sculpts public mood, steering collective emotion toward economic efficiency. From the perspective of cultural engineering, TikTok functions as a mirror that not only reflects society but constructs it. Trends do not emerge organically. They are algorithmically incubated, amplified, and normalized. The platform converts isolated behaviors into global phenomena within hours. What once required months of cultural diffusion now happens through instantaneous algorithmic propagation. The sociological consequence of this acceleration is the compression of time. Culture becomes ephemeral, constantly renewing itself before it can mature. The life cycle of ideas, aesthetics, and identities shrinks to the rhythm of the feed. This temporal compression benefits the platform because each trend generates new engagement, new data, and new revenue. The faster culture changes, the more profitable it becomes. Why does this matter philosophically? Because it changes how individuals perceive themselves. The constant pressure to remain visible, relevant, and updated transforms identity into performance. Self-expression becomes strategic. Authenticity becomes algorithmic. The individual no longer creates for personal meaning, but for visibility within the system's logic. In this way, TikTok exemplifies the economy of performative existence. Every gesture, word, and image becomes an opportunity to signal worth within the attention market. The platform rewards not truth but engagement. It converts human experience into measurable impact. Over time, this metric-driven existence redefines how value itself is understood. Economically, this leads to the financialization of identity. Followers, likes, and shares operate as microcurrencies of social capital, convertible into sponsorships, collaborations, or direct income. TikTok provides the infrastructure, but users provide the labor: emotional, creative, and psychological. The platform monetizes this labor by taking a portion of the visibility it generates. This dynamic is subtle yet revolutionary. Users produce both content and value simultaneously. The act of participation is also an act of production. The result is a digital economy where the boundaries between work and play, between creation and consumption, dissolve completely. TikTok's secret business, therefore, extends beyond advertising. It extends into the architecture of modern identity. It monetizes not only what people see, but what they become. The algorithm turns self-expression into a predictable behavioral pattern, and that pattern becomes a commodity within global attention markets. What emerges is a form of psychological capitalism, where emotion, desire, and attention are mined as resources. Each second of engagement enriches the data model that dictates future behavior. The system does not merely respond to human will, it anticipates and directs it. Freedom remains, but its boundaries are drawn by statistical probabilities. Understanding TikTok in this light reveals a larger pattern in the evolution of digital systems. Every platform eventually transforms into a behavioral economy, where control is exercised through pleasure rather than force. TikTok simply perfected this equation, hiding its mechanisms behind the aesthetics of creativity and fun. The danger, however, lies not in the technology itself, but in our inability to perceive it as an economic instrument. The interface feels intimate, immediate, and personal, yet every moment is meticulously measured, recorded, and monetized. The spectacle of spontaneity masks an empire of precision. To recognize the secret business behind TikTok is to understand a new phase of capitalism, one that no longer needs factories or physical commodities, but thrives on data, emotion, and time. The product is not the video, it is you. The platform's ultimate achievement is convincing billions to participate willingly in their own monetization. Thus, the cycle completes itself. Attention becomes data, data becomes prediction, prediction becomes profit. TikTok stands as a living demonstration of how entertainment can evolve into the purest form of economic control, subtle, personalized, and profoundly human.